Okay, so further item in the series that I'm doing on getting yourself a job. What's this one about? Well, it's about matching together the job description, the person specification, and the interview. So what am I going to be talking about? Well, first of all, what's the job description? Well, when you look at a job offer, they often give you a summary at the top of the page that says, new job opportunity would suit a recent graduate in communication studies or whatever the subject happens to be. Please send your details to, the salary is about this much. Yeah, okay, that's exciting. They've got a job. But quite often what they go on to do is give you a lot of information that it's very, very easy just to sketch over and say, yeah, well, it's just what I expected, that's it. But these things tend to break into two different parts. The first is to do with the description of the job. Why are they giving you so much more information now than they ever did for my generation when we were graduates aspiring to have a career in industry? Well, it's simple. If you don't tell people what the job is about, you're going to get a lot of people applying for the job, potentially getting the job, who are not going to like the job and who are going to leave. Because as far as they're concerned, they didn't know enough about it. You're in France, we're all in France here, and you know how difficult it is with French legislation to actually dispose of somebody, to sack them, to fire them, to get rid of them. Unless they have a faute grave, it's very, very difficult indeed to be able to say to somebody, it isn't working out, just leave. Because they can say, no, unless I've done anything wrong, you can't sack me. They can do that in Switzerland, but you can't do it in France. There's a lot of protection. And what companies have discovered is there's two sorts of wastes of money attached to this. The first is when you appoint someone and you don't give them enough information. They apply for the job, they're desperate for the job, you offer them the job, and after 2 or 3 months they know this job is not for them and they know that they're going to leave. If you're not careful, you get a situation in which a lot of people leave in the first 6 months. So you spend the money to appoint someone, 6 months later they leave. You've got to spend the money to appoint someone else. 6 months later they leave. If you're not careful in a 12-month period, you've got 3 lots of recruitment costs. Trust me, those recruitment costs can be 2 or 3 times the amount of the actual salary that you would have been paying somebody. If you're not careful, you could be paying 60,000 or 70,000 euros to get 20,000 euros worth of work done. Companies know the quickest way to make a profit, strangely enough, is to cut costs. This is a cost you can cut. So a lot of effort is going to go in by human resource management departments to telling future applicants like you and like me, this is what the job is all about. If it interests you, please apply. If it doesn't interest you, just go away. Don't bother sending us something and having a chance of recruiting you and then you finding out you don't want the job and you don't like the job. So we're going to give you a lot more information about what the job is. We call that a job description. It might be details of what you're doing on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It might be how many people you're responsible for, the budget, the targets that you've got to achieve. It's all there and it tells you what it is that they are looking for. There's a second list of things usually in the details of the job. The second list is what we call a person specification. Okay, it may be called a profil if you're in French. But what does that do? Well, that says, look, in the job description we said, those are the things we want someone to be able to do and do brilliantly. What's the second list? This is the type of person that we think will do that job brilliantly. So they've given you 2 hit lists, if you like. Why are they giving you those? Hopefully you're going to read them. You're going to be frightened off if it doesn't appeal to you. But if it does appeal to you, if you do like it, if in theory this is the job for you, what they've just given you is a perfect menu of things to put into your covering letter, lettre de motivation, and your CV, your résumé. Okay? Essentially, half of the job is done. They are giving you the words to a song they want you to sing. What you're doing effectively with your covering letter and your CV, and subsequently, one hopes, your interview, you're singing back to them that song in a duet between these are the things you want, these are the things I can do, this is what you want me to be, this is who I am and what I've got. Basically, that's it. So, compared to my generation, we didn't have those things in our day. We'd have 2 or 3 lines, we wouldn't know what people were looking for, and we'd have to try and invent covering letters and CVs, which were interesting for the company. Here you've got a different problem. Your problem is that they're now giving you a lot of information. Good applicants are going to take that information and they're going to sing it back. They're going to sing that love song back to the company using effectively the words the company has already given in the job description and person specification. Okay? So in one sense, your generation has it easier than mine because we're giving you the words that you've got to sing. On the other side of that, you have to sing them. You have to look at what they're saying. You have to match yourself with what they're saying they want. And you have to offer that back to them. That's quite sophisticated. But if you really want this job, what are you going to do? You're going to look at each aspect of the job description. The thing that says these are the things you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. And you can ask yourself the question, okay, let's take number 1 off the top of that list, or bullet point number 1. Whichever way, it's probably going to be the most important thing that they think they need. Analyze yourself candidly against this. If that's on the hit list and it's right at the top, you'd better have it. You'd better be able to show that this is something you're familiar with. This is something where you have a track record. This is somewhere where you have a success. This is somewhere where you can really say, yep, that's me. No problem. Okay? So you need to go through all of those and candidly analyze yourself in terms of your experience, your knowledge, the skills that you have, and whether you can do that, or by the time the interview comes around and your start date comes around, you could take some extra training so that you could do that in the future. This gives you the opportunity to do a really good covering letter and an excellent CV, which is offering back to them what they want to hear. Candidates who are not sophisticated, candidates who can't really be bothered to compete, they're just going to write an average letter saying what they think about themselves without really looking at what it is that the company says they want you to do and they want you to be or to have. The best applicants take those lists apart and they ask themselves, where am I strongest? Where can I show this fit between what they want and me? That gives you the perfect opportunity to write a superb covering letter and to organize and structure and put content into your CV, which is going to be exactly what that company wants for this particular job. Now, let me say this again. I've said this on a previous video and on lots of classes. This is not the Olympics. In the Olympics, there's a gold medal, a silver medal, and a bronze medal. And there's a final. There's a lot of glory there. You come second, you stand on the podium next to the winner, and everybody cheers, and you go home and it's a silver medal. You're proud of it. You very nearly made it. That's great. That's not what it's like in a job and a job interview. If you come second, it's a pain in the arse. You're going to be kicking yourself. I got so close to that job and I still missed out. I still didn't get it. Second place is nowhere. Second place is the equivalent of somebody whose CV and covering letter was thrown away in the first 2 minutes. Failed. You have to be in it to win it. You have to be determined to go for this job with all it's worth. To do that, take what they give you, read it, analyze yourself against it. Where you're really, really good, send that message. Where you're not quite so good, work out how you can perhaps suggest that you could be. Well, I haven't done that in this particular business context, but I've done it in another context, and I believe the skills are transferable. There's all sorts of things that you can do. Maybe they're asking for knowledge of a particular software program. Maybe you don't have that, but maybe by interview, and a month later with your notice period, maybe by that time you could have upskilled, you could have taken training, you could be ready. Okay, so that's to do with the job description. So what you need to be doing in your covering letter particularly is to take especially the top 4 or 5 things which are the most important things that they want, and show that this is where you're strongest. Where are your successes here? Where can you speak about something good and something impressive? Don't ever try, if they've listed 17 things, to address all 17 of them. You can't, except in very little detail. Better you take the big ones towards the top 3 or 4, the top 4 or 5, and you show how you fit those. If you fit those and you say, please have a look at my CV to see where I meet the other criteria, I'm sure if you've been impressive, they will turn over. Now, let's move on to the person specification. It's not going to be that much different, actually. What is the person specification? This is where they say to you, okay, that's the job we want to do. Now, who would be good at that job? Who would be the best type of person? Is it somebody who speaks 4 languages? Is it somebody who speaks 4 languages and has actually lived abroad and understands the culture? Because there's a difference between the two. Is it someone where 1 year of experience is okay, or does it need 3 years? Does it need a degree or diploma, or does it need a master's plus however many years of experience after it? So again, the same thing applies. You need to be saying, that's what you want. This is how you fit it. And if you don't fit it perfectly, try and show them a good reason why in a very short time you can fit it perfectly. Okay? Just remember, no one ever has everything that a post wants and requires. Why? Because we are almost always going for a post up, above, doing something that we've not done before. We believe we've got a track record, we believe we've got the ability, we believe we can move forward, but we probably haven't done those things. We're always looking for more, further, to move up, to move on. So almost inevitably, all of your competitors are going to be in the same situation. So what you need to do is to be able to think, okay, where I'm strong, where's my evidence? Where's the major success that I've had? What can I prove that I do that perfectly? How can I do that? Where you are weaker, you need to start thinking, okay, well, what can I do about that? How can I show that I can do this with a little bit of help, with a little bit of training that I can do before I come or when I arrive at the company? Where you have perhaps a big hole, what can you do about it? How can you show that although you don't have this, If there is training within the company, you'll be delighted to take it. Or I've done something very similar and I think I could do this in the future if given a chance and some training. Okay? So the key to the covering letter and the CV is making sure that that fit between these two sets of things they want. The job description, I can do that. The type of person we would like you to be and what we would like you to have in qualifications, it fits together. Okay? The same thing goes when it gets to interview. Okay, you can look at my interview file, but just to do a quick fast forward here, when you go to interview, most of the questions are going to be about, you said you were strong on this, we're going to check you out. You weren't too convincing on that. Perhaps you've got more information to give us to show that you are strong on this. We'll give you the opportunity to do that. And the third one, you know what's coming. You didn't say much about that. Is that because you really don't have anything in your armory in relation to this thing? Or do you have something to say to us about it? Okay? So the key to all of these things is what they are saying in the job advert. Don't just read it as a background and then shut it off and just do your own CV. Read it, learn the words to the love song, sing it back to them. You can do that in your covering letter. You can do that in your CV. And if you want to cover perhaps 85% of the questions they're going to have at interview, then you can do the same thing because you know what they're going to ask. There'll only be a couple of questions around that perhaps you need some help with, or they can come out at you from left field, as the Americans say. There'll only be a couple of those. You can walk into the interview with an amazing amount of confidence, knowing that you're convincing with your covering letter and your CV, so they like it. If only I can give them more information, more confirmation of those things, etc., this is probably going to go well. If you can walk in having rehearsed what you need to rehearse, and I would do that the moment you apply, by the way. Don't wait to be called for interview. Imagine this. You get a phone call on Friday night saying, I've actually got to go abroad on Tuesday. Can you be in my office at 9 o'clock on Monday morning? Are you going to be able to find someone who can interview you to do a rehearsal, des répétitions? Are you going to be able to do that and find that and have them help you over the weekend? Probably not. So your best thing is, the moment that you've applied, if you're serious about going for a job, start rehearsing. The first rehearsal, you make mistakes, and the person that's helping you rehearse will be able to help you overcome those. The second one, you'll have covered most of those errors. The third one, you've probably got it down right there under your thumb. So when you actually go to interview, you can be sitting there confident, knowing you've done as much as you can do to give them what they said they wanted, and you're ready. Bring it on. You can do that. And I guarantee, if you sit there in an interview room with the other candidates, you'll see people who are frightened, who are worried, who are not confident, who are stressed. They can't do what you do because they haven't prepared. The best way of preparing for an interview is to know what's on the agenda, what's on the list of questions to ask of the person who's interviewing you. And the answers to that are all in the job description and the person specification. So do your homework. Base your covering letter and your CV and your interview preparation around those things they say that they want, and you can't go far wrong. One final footnote. Sometimes companies give you information which is quite helpful. They actually say we want this, 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 and this. But what they sometimes do is to say this is essential. This is desirable. Well, to be interviewed, you're pretty much going to have most of the essentials. They're going to interview people who've got most of those. So the competition often comes in interviews on these other things, desirables. Okay, so like all the other candidates, you've got most of the essentials. But if we choose you, what are the added extras we get? So the accent on things changes a bit when it comes to interview. Okay? Right. So I think, I hope, I trust, I believe I've given you a recipe for having confidence in yourself at an interview situation. If you want the job, you'll listen to me and you'll do it. If you're a bit blasé about it and you don't care, there's no point in applying, frankly. So try to apply these principles that I've been talking about, and fingers crossed you'll move from the covering letter. Someone will want to see your CV. They will see your CV and want to interview you. They will have you at interview and they will want to appoint you. Okay, that's my wish for you. All the very best of luck as you're job hunting, and goodbye for now, and stay safe and healthy. Okay, bye.